regarding praying 40 days at the grave of the tzaddik. So that's something that I'm against. The Rambam also prohibits that, praying Arba Amot near a kever. I think it's in the 14th chapter of Hilchos Oval. But many Jews do it. Many Jews go and they pray at the grave of the righteous.
I have to be honest. I've done it. I've gone to see the Rebbe at the All Hell in Queens. Him and the father-in-law. You get caught up in it. I mean, it's a very surreal experience being there. You do feel something. I can't really explain it. There is a kedusha there, something. You can feel something there. And I even wrote, wrote a little note beseeching the Rebbe.
Yeah, you do tshuva for that.
And then I rip it up and throw it in the casket, right? I think the whole thing. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, you should do tshuva for that.
I should do tshuva?
For sure. That's beseeching the dead. I mean, that's a Torah prohibition. Because I mentioned this many times to these guys. I have a whole video about praying to the dead, how it's not a good thing. But I've always asked people, isn't there a Torah prohibition in beseeching the dead? And their response is like, oh, well, we're not asking anything to the person. We're not praying to them. We're praying to God through them. But if you go to the Ohel, what do you see on top of the kever? Hundreds or even thousands of letters written to the Rebbe. And not just that, there's a library there where you write a letter and you get a letter back. Of course, they're beseeching the dead, but people care more about being popular and being accepted and doing what everyone else does than about being real and authentic to our source material.
So this is the apologetic argument that my rabbi of the Chabad house that I attended for many years. He told me that, because I asked him that, I said, I say, Torah, like I said, like you just said, the Torah makes it pretty clear, like it's an Aveira. And I even said to him, how can we call ourselves Jews? How can we say we're better than the Christians who pray to Jesus Christ, their Lord, as their Lord and Savior through him to God? And he said the way he explained it to me is just like you can't plug. An outlet only has one plug, and you have to buy an extension cord if you want to plug in more than one plug. That's kind of like how praying to a tzaddik works. He's like a multi-tap. Multiple people can plug into God at once.
It's BS. He's trying to justify a practice. He didn't even answer your question. Is it not praying to a dead person? Yeah, it's praying to a dead person, but don't imagine that it's a dead person. Imagine it's like an amplifier to God.
Right, okay? An amplifier. Yeah, he's amplified. He's kind of like I can only shout so much, and then that tzaddik who's a greater man than me is like a microphone for. Yeah, right. That was basically what he was saying.
It's nonsensical. These people are not serious. That's the thing. It'll convince some people, but it's not going to convince an older person who's tired of the BS and just wants to have something to share with his grandkids or whatever. I love discussing these things with these people. Publicly, they won't say these things. They'll just say it privately and this and that because they know that it sounds silly. So much things that we have to believe in our religion to then on top of that, try to justify nonsensical things like this.
You don't seem to like Jews too much.